energized to lead, to dream. Equity. Karibu member.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere. Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures, and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
Good afternoon. This is Lunchtime News. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Wambiru and we have a comprehensive bulletin lined up this afternoon. And to kick us off, we shall be taking a look at matters and environment. And we shall be crossing over to Makueni County, where county governments have been challenge to localize their climate change mitigation efforts to rope in communities in the program's Global Center on Adaptation Chief Executive Officer Patrick Bjoken says these social climate change lies in the grassroots. The center, together with the African Development Bank, have partnered in resource mobilization and networks to develop and implement the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program in aspiring climate resilient actions.
Makueni is one among the driest counties in the country. Here water is a rare commodity.
Na nilipoingia mahali hapa kulikuwa na maji along Nairobi Mombasa railway line, ile Hod railway line. Lakini nilikuja siku kama 10 years after, hiyo maji kapotea na hiyo pipes kangolewa na wenye kuuza vyuma na tukaachwa mahali babaya sana.
But the residents have found a way to adapt to climate change. They have constructed a sandam that aids in storage of water during dry seasons.
When we were doing this project, there was no single drop that could be found within the riverbed of this river. We could do shallow wells of about 5 feet to get a drop. But now it is so interesting that we are just going less than a foot to access water.
Charles Macau, a resident here at Ngai Ndathia village, notes that before the dam was constructed, due to the arid nature of the locality, they faced daily challenges relating to scarcity of food and water, forcing them to trek long distances in search of the precious commodity.
Tangu hii maji ijengwe hapa tumefaidika na hata mifugo yetu imefaidika. Ukienda kwangu kasa unaweza kuta kashamba kidogo ya mboga. Mama anachota maji kwa hiyo kioski, anaenda na nyunyisia hiyo mboga yake.
Dominic Mutua tells me during the dry season, water collects behind the dam and brings with it tons of sand and silt, and over the course the sand builds up behind the dam and collects water.
After implementation of this project, we have already pumped water to several primary schools, to the market, and the people can access water within the water kiosk we have already set up.
The sand normally protects the water beneath it from evaporating. Global Center on Adaptation Chief Executive Officer Patrick Vakojen,
we're from this tank, right? They may have to fetch one.
However, says the solution to climate change lies in the grassroots, urging communities to engage in activities that will ensure rivers don't dry up.
The local communities need to be involved, not just in this county, but in other counties where perhaps there are different circumstances. We need to learn from them, we need to understand them, we need to empower these local communities and then provide the resources in an accountable way that money can flow to the needs.
Water table is maintained. Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
And in other news, the Electoral Commission Monday kicked off the 2022 National Election Conference at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi. The forum, under the theme Moving Kenya Towards a Stronger Democracy, aims to assess Kenya's preparedness towards a fair, peaceful and credible election. Now we shall be crossing over to KICC, where our reporter Kamche Menza is on standby and has more details. Kamche, kindly bring us to speed.
Well, good afternoon to you back in studio, Jackie Wambiru. Like I said, we're coming to you live from KCC, where today marks the beginning of our national election conference, the year 2022, that has been organized by the electoral body IEBC. And it is a conference that has brought on board a wide range of. We have the international community, we have the presidential candidates, and we also have political parties representatives here. Of course, this whole conference touches on the preparedness of the IEBC. Remember, it's just 28 days to the elections. So basically, IEBC has planned this particular conference to highlight some of the steps they have taken so far to this particular point with regards to the elections. And the people who are here currently are different stakeholders, the international community, as well as presidential candidates. There is Veronica Maina, Secretary General, who represented the Kenya Kwanza. There is also Caroline Karugu, who has represented the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya. We have also seen Professor George Wajakoya, who he came himself as the presidential candidate. We also have Mwaure Waihiga, who was also here as a presidential candidate. So basically, there are a number of issues that has been talked about. It is a whole day conference that will also trickle over to the next day. Tomorrow they will be holding a second day conference. So there is so much that is being discussed on here. Just to touch a few is on the preparations that IEBC has taken. That they are supposed to be where they are with regards to the election. 28 days to the elections, says that each and every individual ought to play their responsible role. But as a commission, they are ready to undertake the elections. One thing, however, they requested from the judiciary. Remember, there are those petitions on nominations that are in the court that, according to IEBC, they say they have been derailing their plans to actually quicken or fasten what is needed or the preparations for the elections. So one thing they asked from the judiciary, which was also represented here by Justice Njoki Ndungu, who represented CJ Martha Koome, they requested the judiciary to fast track these particular petitions because IBC is saying is running out of printing out the ballot papers. Remember, the process has already started and it's supposed to end on the 29th. But of course, with these petitions, IBC says they will be held back in printing these papers. The other thing is on the procurement of strategic materials, which he emphasized that they'll be coming from Greece, Athens, that there's no any other place that these ballot papers will be coming out. And so politicians should stop spreading propaganda on where other ballot papers will be coming from. In this case, he also indicated that they will bring the exact number of ballot papers for the general elections. Remember, Wambiru, we have a total of over 22.2. Registered voters. So of course those ones are multiplied by the 6 positions that are here. Of course you'll get a total about 132 million ballot papers which will be brought into the country according to IEBC. It is an exact number, yes, but there is no usually 100% voter turnout. So basically, much as the number is equivalent to the registered voters, these ballot papers will not be complete. One thing we also saw from the political parties who were given a chance to speak is that we saw the party, of course, bringing up the issue on a manual register and electronic register, of course, urging IEBC to stick by the BVR kits, saying that they registered the voters through the biometric, and that is how they should use it for identification as well. One thing that also happened here is that the presidential candidates who were here have entered into a pact with IEBC. They signed a peace pledge for the elections. 28 days to the general elections, they have signed a peace pledge to ensure that the remaining period of the campaigns, as well as the elections day and even after, they will maintain peace. They will lead their people to maintain peace. And of course, just like any other elections, of course, last year we saw it, there was the releasing of doves, the white doves here at KICC, which symbolizes the peace. So basically that is what has happened. But there is another session where IEBC, of course, will be giving out more details on how prepared they are. Right now it's just a health break, but they will be back. It's a long day, a conference, of course, trickling over to tomorrow as well. So we will be keeping our viewer up to date on what is happening here. But IEBC says it is on track to delivering a credible, fair and transparent. Back to you, Wambiru.
Well, thank you so much, Kamche Menza, for that update on the 2022 National Election Conference that is underway at the KICC. We shall be bringing you more details on our subsequent bulletins at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. For now, we move on. The Postal Corporation of Kenya workers have vowed to go on strike on Friday this week if they are not paid their outstanding 3-month salaries. Central Organization of Trade Unions Deputy Secretary General Benson Okwaro has faulted the management for neglecting the plight of workers. This even as he called on the president to dissolve the board of directors and appoint a new chief executive officer at the corporation.
Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong.
The Postal Corporation of Kenya workers have vowed to down their tolls effective on 15th of this month if they are not paid their dues in April, May and June, accruing to 131 million shillings. Led by the Central Organization of Trade Union Deputy Secretary General Benson Okwaro, Postal Corporation of Kenya workers say it will not be business as usual at the corporation if their dues for the months of April, May and June are not paid by Friday this week.
We are not going to have an organization which is running a football club and they spend money to run the football club and yet they say they don't have money to pay members of staff. We have a board which sits almost 2-3 times every month against the rules of Mongoso, and yet they tell us they don't have money. I am asking the PMGA that if it was a gentleman, it was by yesterday.
Okwaro has further demanded that the corporation pays workers the July salary by 31st of this month.
The management of Postal Corporation of Kenya and by extension the board of this organization appear not to care. It's a shame to this organization that you preside over an institution which does not get salary and yet he goes around picking salary. I have information that even as I talk today, they are organizing to get money from the Postal Corporation of Kenya. for personal gains. These are people who should have gone to jail by now as I talk.
Okwaro lauded workers who have continued with their work at the corporation despite not receiving their dues.
Tumeteseka sana kama wafanyikazi wa Posta. Ukienda hata katika banks loan, ukienda kwa SACCOS huwezi kupewa loan. Majina wafanyikazi wa Posta iko katika CRB.
It is time that the management styles up and the CEO of this corporation, if he is inept and is unable to really manage the organization, it is high time that he quits so that he can give an opportunity to someone who is pro-business and will also be human-minded.
As much as we know, Postal Corporation of Kenya, being a courier services, was not affected by the COVID because communications sector, the courier sector had a lot of business. But because of poor management and less of guidance by the board of directors, they were not even able to do the business. As you can recall, the Matatu people were in a position to do even more business than Postal Corporation of Kenya.
Timothy Kipnoso for Lunchtime News.
And in the political arena, Meru Senator Mithika Linturi has launched a manifesto for his gubernatorial bid. Senator Linturi has promised to improve health sector, boost agriculture and empower youths if elected governor. Elsewhere, Jubilee Party Director of Elections Kanini Kega now says Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party presidential candidate Raila Odinga will get over 50% of the Mount Kenya votes.
Meru Senator Mithika Linturi, who is now vying for gubernatorial seat on a UDA ticket, launched his manifesto promising to deal with corruption in the county government.
We were also able to identify one other major problem, that our people are generally very broke, very poor. Businesses are not doing well. And for that matter, this made us start thinking of how we can have an urgent intervention to restore to all our people in Meru.
Meanwhile, in Makueni County, Governor Professor Kivutha Kibwana popularized his senatorial bid even as he campaigned for Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition flag bearer Raila Odinga.
Na sababu za kuitisha useneta nikiwa nimemaliza kipindi cha kuwa gavana, na hata kuna gavana wengine, sisi sote ni kama 6 tunafanya hivyo, ni nini? Seneta ndio anakusanya matakwa yote ya wananchi katika kaunti yake, yale yanahusikana na national level, kiwango cha national, anapeleka katika Senate, anapeleka Nairobi.
In Nyeri County, Jubilee Party Director of Elections was also exuding confidence Raila Odinga will get more than 50% of Mount Kenya votes.
We are happy that the trip that we undertook, now we are, and on an average, we are about 48 going to 50%. And the other side, their numbers are dwindling every other day. They started at 90%. 3 months ago, they were about 70%. Now they are struggling with about 49%.
Similar campaigns for Raila Odinga were witnessed in Nairobi County, where woman representative Esther Passaris engaged Mitumba traders at Toy Market, while Westlands MP Tim Wanyonyi was in Kangemi area.
Tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8, jitokeze mfanye uamuzi ambao utakuwa wa maana kabisa. We are going to elect a new government because President Uhuru Kenyatta is there. Our presidential candidate in our coalition is Raila Amolo Odinga na Mama Karua.
Tunataka 10 million plus kwa Martha Karua. Wale wanaume ambao wanapenda mama, he for she, tunataka pia nyinyi mujiregister.
Meanwhile, a section of Mijikenda Kaya elders have endorsed lawyer George Kithi as their preferred candidate for Kilifi governor in a traditional ceremony held at Kaya Fungo in Kaloleni Constituency. Tayari Moringa, the Kaya elder who led the spiritual ceremony, said they blessed Kithi and directed him to ensure the coast region is politically united.
Hapa leo tunaendelea na kusema kwamba kuna kijana wetu George Kiti vile alivyokuwa akitaka tumtumizia sisi wazee wa Kaya. Kwa hivyo hakuna mwingine, ni yeye George Kiti, hakuna mwingine.
Gishoki Washira, Lunchtime News.
In other news, University Academic Staff Union Secretary General Wasonga Opio has faulted the Moi University Vice Chancellor for declaring the academic staff redundant. While addressing the journalist in Mombasa, Wasonga noted that the union had not received any formal letter on the impending layoff.
That is looming at the Moi University has rubbed off the University Academic Staff Union the wrong way, as the Secretary General Wasonga Opio demands that the Vice Chancellor Professor Isaac Kosgei rescind his.
If he has mismanaged the university, we are not going to allow him to declare staff redundant.
Wasonga reiterated that the declaration on redundancy was illegal since UASU had not received any formal letter on the decision.
Around the Secretary General of the Union, Moi University has not written to me as per Section 40 of the Labor of Employment Act. They are purporting to have informed the branch secretary. I never delegated that responsibility to chapter secretary.
While addressing the press at a Mombasa hotel, Wasonga challenged the university management to share with the union the numbers of academic staff they had earmarked for redundancy and affected programs.
It is not a known secret. Moi University has been depending on part-time lecturers, which means they are not sufficiently staffed as per the UNESCO standards. So what we'll ask as a union is to be furnished with the establishment at Moi University before they think of declaring staff.
Meanwhile, Wasonga expressed concern over the shortage of lecturers across public universities in the country. For Lunchtime News from Mombasa County, I am Anboro.
Now, Suna West Member of Parliament Peter Masara is calling on the government to crack down on gangs terrorizing residents in his constituency. According to Masara, the criminals are causing unnecessary tension in the area, with many residents living in fear. A section of residents, however, believe the insecurity is politically instigated and are calling on the political class to promote peaceful campaigns.
Because we are heading to the general election, I decided to call this peace meeting with the resident, and you can see the response which is here. We have resolved that moving forward, we are going to nominate around 20 elders from Nyamilu area and 20 from Bondo area, so that we can bring harmony amongst the society who are living here.
Ni hali tu ya kisiasa, hakuna maelewano, lakini natarajia hapa mbele kutakuwa na amani, hakutakuwa na mvurutano kati ya wanasiasa.
Minority ethnic groups living in Isiolo County have been urged to forge a united front as Kenyans approach the August general elections to ensure they have representation in elective positions.
Speaking at Leparua during a meeting that brought and other representatives from the Asharaf and Dorobo communities, the elders urged residents to support candidates from the minority groups to represent themselves in the elective positions. Elders Musali Kirobo, Ngoi Makinyaga and Dixon Olboldogi from the Dorobo communities lamented that Leparua area in Burat ward of Isiolo County had been neglected by successive regimes.
Kama mkazi wa Leparua tunapitia shida mingi. Shida ya kwanza, barabara hatuna, shule hakuna, maji hakuna. Unakuta watoto wanasoma kufika katikati wanatoka shule, wanaacha shule. Kuna wengine wanawasha siati kwa sababu ya kutaka kuwasha.
Hakuna chochote ambaye tunakuwa tunapata nyuma ya kura. Na tunaomba tukiwa jamii ndogo, Maasai Ndorobo ya Leparwa, tunaomba wale wanatafuta kiti wakipata watu.
Sharif Abubakar, a youth from the Ashraf community who is in the race for Isiolo North parliamentary seat, noted that it was high time that members of minority communities realized that unless they pull together and rally their support behind a candidate that will represent their interests in the government, they will continue being neglected while other areas continue developing.
Kama Loruko, hakuna mawasiliano, hakuna maji, hakuna barabara, na tuko katika system ya devolution. Na safari hii tumesema ya kwamba hatutatumiwa na ile kabila kubwa kujiendeleza kisiasa. Lazima sisi tuungane kama minorities, hata sisi tuko na uwezo.
The elders called upon all other members of minority ethnic groups in Isiolo County to join the newly found unity endeavor by the Ashraf and Ndorobo communities and support one candidate so that they are assured of representation when the general election are held on August 9th.
Wacha tujenga pamoja. Nilikuwa wajeri wakaingia 1979 mpaka hiti. Hapo ajeripora hapo. Sasa mnajua hii familia yetu ni kidogo tu mnajua. Sasa kwa hivyo tuonge pamoja, hata ngine kidogo pale kutoka pale hata juu saa hii tulete. Hiyo kimo moja.
Meanwhile, there is need for the national government to partner with county governments to establish homes for the elderly to ensure they are well taken care of in their sunset years. Dr. Lawrence Oteba from the Center for Integrated Population Health and Environment Development Solutions and Helen Obwaku noted that most elders in the county are lonely following neglect by society and their own children. They further observed that lack of medical services, good shelter and food were some of the challenges facing elders.
Hata hawana mahali pazuri pa kuishi. Tujaribu kuona jinsi ya kuwasaidia. Na ikiwezekana pia usaidizi wa kiafya ili waweze kupita hiyo kiwango ili waweze kubadilika kidogo.
In other news, artists in the grassroots levels have challenged policymakers and stakeholders in the creative space to allocate more resources to the industry, especially at the county level, to help hone skills of budding artists. Speaking during an event held in Gatundu, James Muiru, an artist, noted that there was a lot of unexploited talent in the grassroots that can be nurtured to address unemployment among the youth.
Youth unemployment is a major concern in Kenya, with the majority of young people under the age of 35 years unable to secure a job despite actively seeking work. Artists in Gatundu, however, opine that the situation can be addressed if deliberate efforts were made to invest more in young talented people, especially in the county level, whose talents remain unexploited. Speaking during a Thanksgiving event in Gatundu, James Muiru, popularly known as MC Kajim, noted investing in talents, especially at the grassroots levels, can result in gainful employment if well developed.
Yule youth ambaye ako hapa na pia yeye ajue yule youth ako hapa na ako na talanta, ajue pia yeye Mungu anaweza tumia hiyo talanta, kama ni kuchora, kama ni kuimba, kama ni kuact, kama ni kufanya kila kitu, Mungu anaweza tumia hiyo talanta na aweze kumuinua, amtoe hapa na amweke pahali juu ambapo anajulikana na kila mtu.
Kikuyu gospel star Lois Kim, who is also eyeing the Kiambu women representative position, took a swipe at the Sports and Culture Ministry over laxity in availing funds for talent development and empowerment, insisting on the need for the relevant officials to walk the talk.
Kuna pesa ambazo ziko kwa culture, Sports and Culture Ministry ambazo zinafaa kupewa vijana wetu ndio waweze kujihimidi kimaisha na pia waweze kujihimidi na talenti zao.
And a section of youth have embraced fashion modeling as a way of preaching peace and promoting divergent views as the country is gearing towards the August 9th elections. The young men from different counties came together to showcase their talents and creativity in a catwalk modeling show staged at the Rainbow Resort in Ruiru, Kiambu County. Sandra Otieno and Bruno Gutu, organizers of the fashion modeling show, called on youths and politicians to be promoters of peace throughout the electioneering period. Sentiments echoed by aspiring Kiambu County woman representative to the National Assembly, Gladys Charnier.
All encourage youths and our politicians to maintain peace, because we all need growth, we all need talent in ourselves. So youths, make it peaceful, and also our politicians kindly keep it peaceful for all of us.
We have been working with them so hard to advocate for peace and to be able to foster youth to be productive with their talents, with whatever they do.
Of this activity, it is for empowering our youth away from getting misused, like this time of campaigns, this time of electioneering. It also curbs the youth from alcohol and drug abuse. Most of them are university students, others are seeking jobs, and others are young entrepreneurs. And so we are encouraging them and building them in capacity in what government has to offer to them as youth.
Well, that report brings us to our first break here on Lunchtime News. Don't go too far, we still have more news coming up.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723 892 654 or 0734 780 124.
God of War. Mars, we truly miss you.
Right. I'm here today begging you, bury the hatchet and send your troops. I'm going to lead them into victory and bring peace to the whole land.
Please forget the past and fight together with His Highness and bring peace again.
Actually, I have something to discuss with you.
Yes.
I really like you. I like you very, very much.
Welcome back. Property of Unknown Valley was destroyed when fire gutted the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation staff canteen. No casualties were reported and broadcast operations were not affected by the incident. The fire that started at around 5 a.m. was put out by a combined team of firefighters from GSU and the G4S company.
This is what was left of the staff canteen at Kenya Broadcasting Corporation after a dawn inferno. According to the management of the canteen, the fire is reported to have started in the kitchen and quickly spread to the restaurant.
It was around 5:30 in the morning
when one of my staff called me when I was at home, informing me about this incident, whereby the smoke and fumes were coming from the switchboard, and the staff tried to contain the incidents, but unfortunately when the situation escalated, he decided to call other colleagues, whereby they managed to evacuate from the premises.
Quick response by firefighters from the GSU and G4S stopped its spread to adjacent buildings.
Nimesikia moto umeanzishwa na hitilafu ya stima. Nimeenda dim kidogo, ndio wakati imerudi kukakuwa na mlipuko kidogo, halafu moto ikatokea.
The inferno left the canteen staff a dejected lot.
Kibinafsi limeniadhiri kwa sababu kwa leo sitakuwa kazi, na mpaka nyumba imalize kufanyiwa ifanyiwe renovation, bado nafikiri hatutaweza kuwa kwa kazi.
It's a big shock kuamka hivi, ulikuwa unaenda kazi unasikia bap hakuna job, na unajua venye economy iko, so kwa sisi ni pigo kubwa.
The management of KBC says investigations are underway to find the exact cause of the fire, as it assured audience of normal activities at the national broadcaster.
The fire has been fully contained, and now our experts are investigating the cause of the fire. KBC was not burned down, it wasn't under attack. It was just a fire that started in the kitchen at the canteen, and therefore we are investigating to establish the fire.
Jelis Aladi for Lunchtime News.
Well, we are glad that the fire was contained and that no injuries or casualties were reported. Thank you for your messages. Now, in other news, textile industry workers and cotton farmers are optimistic that the measures being put in place to revive the sector, and despite the influx of second-hand clothes in the country, one of the major textile industries in central region, Thika Cloth Mills, has weathered many storms that have afflicted the sector and continues to produce products that are easily consumed in the local market.
Dominic Ngugi, the factory's production manager, points out that President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive to have uniforms of disciplined forces manufactured locally gave the factory life.
I can say we are growing, and thanks to the government, because they have been very supportive in giving us government tenders. In the armed forces, we are getting tenders from there, and it is something that is quite good, because imports for the government facilities have been clamped down.
With a debate on whether to ban the importation of second-hand clothes, commonly referred to as mitumba, Ngugi says there's need to have policies put in place to revive the industry.
And clothing, we don't have any issues with them. What we have issues is local imported cheap products from China, from India that come, and maybe without having a duty fully paid. And they are giving us a big challenge in the sense that we, in the line of manufacturing, they may misrepresent what they bring in the sense that whatever that is supposed to be made from cotton is branded as cotton, but is actually fully man-made fiber.
Rashid Hamid, Kwale Pavi Cooperative Society, noting that most of their members who are growing cotton have leased their land to mining companies after the textile industries collapsed.
Kweli nilisema tumeanzisha hii kilimo cha pamba na watu wa base titanium. Ile ni kampuni ambayo inachimba madini pale. Ndio imefanya mkulima pale Kwale County kuanzisha kilimo cha pamba. Maana pamba tuliacha miaka ya 70 huko nyuma, wazee wetu ndio walikuwa kilima, lakini ikawa haina bei, haina faida.
The farming of cotton in the country was brought down to its knees after farmers lost interest in the crop, citing low yields. Under the Big Four agenda, the government is targeting manufacturing, especially through textile production, in order to create more jobs in the country. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Daniel Mugo.
And across borders, Ukraine plans to deploy a strong army equipped with NATO weapons to retake the south of the country from occupying Russians. Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov says retaking the areas around the Black Sea coast is vital to the country's economy.
Attack on a block of flat on Sunday killed at least 18 people, with more than 20 feet buried under the rubble. Rescuers are still looking for survivors at the site of the 5-story building in Chasivyar near the city of Kramatorsk in Danyan's region, which has been the focus of a Russian push. Elsewhere, Sri Lanka walked to an uncertain future, with both its president and prime minister set to step down after thousands of protesters stormed their homes in fury over the nation's crippling economic crisis. Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa confirmed he will resign after tens of thousands of protesters stormed the official residence of both men. Sri Lanka is in deep financial crisis, and the crowds say they won't leave until both men quit their post. The Parliament Speaker had earlier said the President would resign on July 13th. Elvis Otieno for
Now, imagine staying for 3 days without electricity in your house, thinking that Kenya power systems are down, only to realize that you had exhausted your units, yet had no way of establishing this. This is what Paul Mugambi, a visually impaired innovator, went through, and it triggered an idea development of a prepaid electricity meter for the visually impaired. Teresa Mutai brings us this report.
An inclusive future being built by genius minds. Today, I have a sit down with Paul Mugambi, who narrates to us the innovation of smart power solution. Paul Mugambi spent 3 days holed up in his house without electricity at the height of COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. He thought the outage was due to normal interruptions by Kenya Power. Unbeknownst to him, his units were out. His realization that he didn't have electrical supply simply because he couldn't be informed that he was out of tokens fueled an idea.
It made me to innovate an idea called K-Macho, whereby it's a platform whereby persons who are blind like me and persons without disabilities can be able to access utility through the solution which we have found out.
He came up with an idea to have a talking smart electricity token meter that would take voice commands. The voice automated smart meter alerts the user when tokens are about to run out. The innovation that leverages on technology such as Google Talkback and Siri is dubbed Kwamacho, also known as K-Macho. Kwamacho uses spoken words, vibrations, and other audible feedback to allow the user to know what is happening on the smart meter, allowing the user to better interact with the device. The service is pre-installed on smart meter devices to enhance accessibility.
You use your mouth to command to request anything you want, like to ask it, K-Macho, buy for me 32 units of power. Then it will give you the response, and then you're able to do your transaction there immediately without you doing anything, just by word of mouth.
Paul Mugambi then brought on board 3 technical members to develop the first smart meter and keep tweaking it until they perfected the invention. His innovation won the Inclusion Awards in 2018 in Australia, where he was recognized for the innovation that support people with disabilities.
I participated in this digital space innovation competition, and my idea was won the best in terms of social inclusion during that activity. And through that is when now we started making the prototype.
Cabinet Secretary for Energy and Petroleum Sector Dr. Monica Juma uploaded K-Macho invention during a KPLC inaugural Manufacturers Technology and Innovation.
We want, as the chair has indicated, to acknowledge all the exhibitors and to point out to some of the ones that I have seen, to Numero IoT, to K-Macho, which I think are important innovations, examples of innovations that are aligning to our needs and our context and our aspirations as a country.
If energy sector becomes seamless with the internet services and offline services, with the technology the way it is going, I know it will be a great game changer in terms of development consciousness.
He is now calling out to investors in the public and private sectors to finance the project and achieve a complete implementation of the K-Macho innovation. He says the potential of the innovation in the energy sector is yet to be fully exploited, saying it could open up many jobs.
Indeed, a visionary man who hopes with his innovation the world will be transformed to create a better future.
And in the sports arena, Menengai Oilers won the Prince Leo Rugby Sevens after defeating Strathmore Leos 12-07 at the Nakuru Athletic Club. Now, Nakuru Oilers top the overall Circuit 7 series with 94 points, 4 ahead of the Circuit defending champions KCB RFC, who finished 4th after losing 21-10 to Homeboys in the 3rd place playoff.
Oilers scored 2 tries, converting 1 against Leo's 1 converted try. Most valuable player in the tournament, George Oro, was caught with a forward playing, gifting Oilers a scrum which Geoffrey Ominde offloaded to Sikutwa, but Beldad Ogeta missed the try in the right corner. Scrum half Steve Amunga scored his first try for the Oilers after an own assist, scoring in the center post Daniel Abukosi, adding the extras to make it 7-0 at halftime. Leos won a line-out, but the ball was stolen by Oilers' Dennis Abukosi, who scored their second try but missed the conversion. Oilers maintained their lead up to full-time, winning their first leg in the series.
Now, National Rugby 15 a-side team Simbas failed to secure a direct qualification ticket to next year's Rugby World Cup after losing 36-0 to Namibia in the final match of the qualifiers at the Stade Maurice David Stadium in France.
It's the 2019 Rugby World Cup.
Coached by Paul Odera, still has a chance to qualify for the global rugby event in the final qualification tournament, commonly known as repechage, set to be held in November.
Both sides have been pretty good with the set piece so far.
Repechage is a round-robin competition where 4 teams from across Africa, Asia, the Americas and Europe will contest.
Breaks through 3 or 4 challenges, and he was so close to going all the way. John Okoth in the end who brought him down.
Simbas will face Portugal during repechage, as well as losers between Chile and the United States of America, and the loser between Hong Kong and Tonga. The team which will win in the tournament books a spot in Pool C of the World Cup in France.
Well, that brings us this afternoon. Thank you for choosing Lunchtime News. My name is Jackie Wambiru. Remember, for more news, check out our website at kbc.co.ke. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي يا مولاي يا مولاي صلي وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك